ayahuasca experience, because the plant medicine kind of works on you forevermore, just like healing trauma. You know, when you do energy healing, once you have opened up to energy healing and healing your wounds and your dark nights of the soul, you know, it stays with you, unless you just turn your back on it completely, you know what I mean? So, but it rarely happens. Like once you get a taste of love, which is, you know, for the religious people called God is love. It's very intoxicating, it's very addictive, and love feels really good. Love feels a lot better than fear, so you kind of just want that. You want it more. So really, once you get a taste of love, unless you're pure darkness, which there's some people like that, you're going to always turn back to the light. So there's that. So never ever be scared about going backward. You're always in forward motion once you open up to spirit, you open up for healing. So here we go. It's kind of, you know, same thing with what religious people say about, do you believe in the Lord Jesus, Savior Christ, and you're saved forever? It's the very same thing with spirituality. It goes way beyond that. It's the same thing. It's the same energy, you know? It's the same energy, same light, different lanterns. So, all right, let's get to it. I went to the Soul Quest Orlando retreat for the ceremony. And for those that don't know me, I help moms get everything they want by healing trauma, specializing in weight loss and hormones, because I'm a fitness model. But ultimately, it's I help moms get everything they want, but they always come to me for weight loss, right? Everybody comes to me for weight loss and they come to me for hormones, but they quickly realize that there's so much more to it. There's a lot of healing that needs to be taking place. And like, because if you know, weight loss, there's a reason why they're overweight, why they're run down, why their hormones are off. There's a reason why they can't stick to a program. And it all comes back to self-love and trauma. So everything and anything, whether it's your hormones, your relationship, your money, your body, whatever, it's all from trauma. And sometimes when you're not wanting to take action, that's also from trauma and fear of success because of whatever we believed long ago. So you could call me, well, I'm a master energy healer, right? And now that I know what I know about Aya, I'm apparently a hell of a shaman. So it started off, ayahuasca came to me in 2012 when the Great Awakening and the shift happened with a lot of us light workers. I just chose to stay in fear. I went the fitness route, you know. Life was hard at that time. We had sold everything to move to Florida. We got scared, we backed out, and I rebuilt my business because I sold everything to move to Florida in 2012. And didn't do it, stayed in fear, and I stayed there for 7 more years. Had 2 kids, blah, 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 got my business up and going online. And then the second shift, you know, in 2020, well, we moved actually, right before, you know, C-19 happened, we moved. And this is all how it's just divine. When you're tapped in, you just miraculously do things where people look at you and go, did she plan that? No, when you follow soul, you always are just kind of, you seem like things just work out for you. Am I supposed to get off there? No. Am I? Yep, I was supposed to get off there. So apparently I'm not supposed to get off because I got to talk to you. So, that's what happened in 2012. And ayahuasca came in during 2012, and I'll never forget, which if I rewind, oh, perfect, there's traffic. Perfect, I get to really talk now. Rewinding, I went through a spiritual enlightenment in 2010. For those of you that don't know what spiritual enlightenment means, it's when you realize that everything you've been told was not true. You know, I grew up Southern Baptist, and I knew that some things were off. I looked around and I was like, how come if people are of God and they're of Jesus and they're doing all this stuff that they're miserable and they're not happy and they're addicts, they're addicted to sugar and they're addicted to food and they're addicted to skull and caffeine and all this stuff, and they don't feed themselves properly and they don't exercise and they don't really love themselves, and matter of fact they cheat on each other and they drink alcohol and they're really not good people, but yet they're claiming this belief. And matter of fact, the belief that's like Santa Claus. I mean, really, if you look at it and you look at scientific stuff, you know, you always need to seek the truth before you believe things. And the problem is with religion, for me and in general, when you're born into your religion. I mean, they take you straight to the church and commit that they're going to raise you with a belief system. And so I knew something was off. And me being just who I am, I always knew something was off. And I was heavily involved in the church aspect because I loved people. I absolutely loved people. I loved teaching. I liked being of service. And, you know, church, they loved that. And I loved Wednesday nights. I loved the youth programs. I loved the children's church. I hated going to big church. It was so boring. But I loved everything else. And I was heavily involved in it. Matter of fact, when I was 14, I couldn't drive, of course. You know, 16 years old, you can drive. I would drive myself to church 20 minutes north. When I was 14 years old, I'd get my mom's Malibu and I'd drive to church because they didn't go, and I would just drive myself to church. So I was always spiritual, and I got saved at a very early age, 7 years old. And my family, my own family, my dad was in some like cult. He listened to this white guy, and I say white guy because this guy was racist, out in like Arkansas. And he would teach people that like Adam and Eve were white and everything was about being white. So I grew up basically like with a racist dad. Which he would say he has no problem with people of color, but like, and he didn't because, I mean, hello, I'm your daughter. Okay. You know, like, I mean, you know, and so, you know, he would say he's not, but there was a lot of hate in my family, a lot of hate on that side, a lot of anger, and a lot of hate. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you may be going through this, and it's important that I share this. Nothing is right or wrong. Everything is perfect. Okay. You have to understand that. So if you feel something triggering in you, baby, that's what you need to seek. Why are you feeling this way? And seek for those answers, because that will lead you to spiritual enlightenment. And spiritual enlightenment, your mind expands, and you open up for this new level of healing and seeing the world with different goggles, and everything shifts. Like my life changed with this spiritual enlightenment. I mean, I was addicted. I was an alcoholic. I had been on Lexapro. I tried to commit suicide. Matter of fact, when my shaman got a hold of me and she was doing energy work on the very first time, she goes, "Did you have a near-death experience, or what happened to you around age of blah, blah, blah?" She goes, "You were black. You were all dark." And I said, "Yeah, I tried to kill myself. I got on Lexapro. I tried to take so many that I just wouldn't wake up." And so that was at my height of religion. And so something just wasn't clicking. Like I wasn't happy yet. I'm supposed to be believing in this thing. It just wasn't feeding me. It wasn't doing the job. And so Skip, you know, I met my husband Skip, and I'm talking like this guy traveled to Miami churches with thousands of people and led thousands to Christ. And so when I met him, I was seeing a seer. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always been drawn to psychics. I've always been, you know, that kind of thing, because with me being who I am, of course, I wanted to be around my people. But then I thought that I just wanted answers, because having answers that I was going to be okay in the future gave me, it gave me peace, because I grew up in such a traumatic environment and chaos. I thought I just wanted answers from the psychic, but really I was wanting, my soul was like, this is who you are. You are a healer. Come this way. And so I met my husband, and he told me right away, he's like, all that stuff you're doing is of the devil and it's not right. And I just kind of blew him off. I didn't really care. I was like, you know, I just didn't really care. And this is what Aya taught me this weekend, and I just love this. So we got together, and then we went through our dark fucking nights. And then 2010, we were attending this church. I got really hard back into religion. I got really, really, really hard back into religion, where I was going every Sunday. I was listening to Christian music, and I was there, and I was reading the Bible every day, like all day. I would do these big time. Now that I do what I do now, I was just into the Bible, and God would talk to me, and I would get these messages. And as I was getting these messages, I was in the bathtub one night, and God spoke to me, and he asked me a question about my pastor. And my pastor was very wealthy. I mean, if you're from Georgia, it was Woodstock First Baptist, Johnny Hunt. He's phenomenal pastor. I mean, he is like, oh my God, such a leader, such a great speaker, charismatic. I mean, he is very talented. And he had bodyguards around him when I saw him at one point, and something in me goes, why? I just started questioning certain things that he said, and that why would you need this if you're of love, and if this, and if no fear, or whatever, why are you doing this? Or it was just odd. The reason I questioned, because I saw him out in public, and the energy that I felt was just, I just started questioning things, not of him personally, just of the whole thing. Boom, I got the answer. Next thing you know, I start studying. Like emerald tablets, Thoth, Horus, Egyptian, deep hidden wisdom of the earth, okay, and of the spiritual Freemasonry. Like, I started looking into our deep ancient philosophy. I mean, like, it was wild. And all this, and this is a girl that came from somewhere that, you know, people thought this big, because it's a very small town in the country, and, you know, that's just, you know, this is, here I am, I'm into this stuff, y'all. It consumed me. And I got so into understanding this other realm. And then we went through it. We went through it so hard, like, to the point of we were questioning the food we were eating. And now that I know what I know, we should have just gone vegan, because we were like, it was this chicken strangled. Like, how did this chicken die? Because we're partaking of the energy. Like, it was fucking wild. I'll never forget, we had clients, and I was scared shitless to go around these clients, because I was coming into feeling energies. And I was like, oh my God, I was terrified, because there was so much darkness. I could feel people's energy. I could read their minds. I knew things, and it was absolutely terrifying. I'll never forget going to my family's house, and my uncle goes, "You okay, Casey?" And I was like, "Yeah. Yeah." It was fucking wild, y'all. It was so strange, and it was kind of sad, because I didn't have anybody to help me along the way, like I'm helping you through your spiritual journey. And so I found a couple books, and it explained everything, and I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, we're not nutting up. This is just part of, like, the spiritual evolution. And so after 2010, you know, things weren't the same. And that's when I really got into the healing stuff, and nutrition was just straight downloaded. I was getting people, at the time we worked at a Christian school, and I was getting these people and showing them they were losing 50 pounds and coming off medications and, you know, all this stuff. Truly, like, God working through me, right? Like A Course in Miracles shit, like the book. And it was just really cool. And people were questioning me, how do you know this? How do you know this? So I said yes to the wisdom that came through in 2010 when we had this enlightenment. I didn't take a drug. I didn't do ayahuasca. I didn't go through anything. I just simply asked. I just simply went inside of myself and do everything that I show you here in Hotmomz. Because in Hotmomz, what I do is I help you unlock your truth, because everybody has a different truth, and I help you unlock your truth so you can get what you want. And you'll find out quick that it is about healing a lot of traumas. And for me, my trauma was realizing that I had been lied to my whole life, not out of straight intent, but because they didn't know any better. And during that time, I still had my family around and all that stuff. But anyway, as you know, we ended up moving to Florida 2020, and I up-leveled again in spirituality, and I found my shaman, Sarah, and oh my God, I mean, things haven't been the same since, because I found my soul family, and holy shit. So ayahuasca came in early in 2010. Remember me telling you that? Or 2012? And I saw a picture of it, and it had two shamans on each side, and it had a brain, like a happy birthday banner, like they were holding the brain like a jump rope. And out of the brain came like snakes and bugs and all this nasty shit. And it said, your brain on ayahuasca. And at the time I was into natural healing stuff and knowing the cause, and I Googled it, and I was like, oh, Skip, look, it's some tea we can drink, and it's supposed to, like, remove all this shit out of your brain that holds you back. And I just blew it off. And then instead we ended up going the route of H2O2 and learning about healing cancer and bringing in oxygen therapy and some natural stuff and gut healing and all that. But as you know, if you've watched my webinar, I was still struggling. There was a lot that I was still struggling with, because I wasn't dealing with my trauma. Not until 2019, really, did I start, and I even had a life coach, you know, a Reiki life coach for like 8 years. But anyway, did all that, didn't work. Not until I actually said yes to energy healing and healing my traumas and really understanding, hey, here's why you're struggling, did my life change and evolve. So ayahuasca came back into my life this year, April, May, which was my birthdays in May. And I started asking people about it. And then I found, you know, Damasi, she's on my podcast about it. And I know her. I met her long ago in 2013. So I knew her growth, and I knew about her story, and I knew she wasn't a bullshitter, blah, blah, blah. So she was talking to me. She goes, if Mother Aya calls to you, you fucking answer. It's like, oh, fuck. And me personally, I've tripped. Like, I used to do drugs and all that, and I've tripped. Like, I've had trips. I've done some fucking angel dust and some weed and seen some shit, and I've taken this bad ecstasy pill back in the day. Like, I've had some bad trips. So psychedelics has never been something that called to me, like DMT or just a regular like shroom type people. Like I was scared shitless of that because I would be a panic attack type girl. Like when I would trip, and I've had these PTSD things about the bad trip. It's like you don't ever want to go on it again. But it was just like you just went to a bad trip. And my friend said it perfectly. He described like comparing ayahuasca to a bad trip. Like you just can't do that. It's almost like saying, Casey, this program's going to be just like every other one. Well, yeah, you've never gotten into a weight loss program that healed trauma. You've just done a basic eat chicken and this and burn calories. Right. So, but you got PTSD. So that was me. But I did. I knew. I said, I'm going to follow soul. I'm going to do it. Fuck it. Let's go. And we booked it, and it was just kind of on a whim. And actually, when I looked at Soul Quest, and my only concern was panic attacks. And so they had paramedics on site. They have paramedics on site. So that made me feel safe. And then the only thing that didn't feel right was all the people there. And apparently, like when you're doing your journey, you're like there with a lot of other people. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that. Like to me, that's why I don't even like yoga, being around a lot of other people. I do sometimes, but to me, it's such a deep spiritual practice. That's why I got a problem with church. I feel like for me, people may be different because they feed on energy. For me, I want to be in my space, alone, in solitude, maybe one other person, but that's fine, but not like 50 people. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Apparently that's something I get to clear out. Obviously it's some trigger for me, so let's just roll with it. I paid like $1,200 each because it was, you stay for 2 nights, you do a ceremony Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, and whatever else. So we both went up, Skip went up. We went vegan before. You have to eat vegan before, which now I understand why. Another thing is, it was so natural and normal to me. There was no struggle at all. Anytime you're supposed to do something, when you've removed a lot of your trauma and stuff, you just do the right thing naturally. And you'll eventually get to that point and be able to discern like what's resistance, what's dark, and what's not. Quit smoking pot for about a week. So we get there, right when I walk in, first of all, it's raining in Orlando and in Florida, which the state bird is a mosquito. Okay, the state bird is a fucking mosquito. It's raining and it's muddy. And God almighty damn. So I go in and Skip goes, okay, what was it like? Because he was parking the car. And I said it was kind of like Arthur's, which Arthur was like my Reiki guy. But when I met him, I remember going around him and in his energy, not in his energy, but the people he would have around him and the surroundings. And it always felt odd to me. It always felt like kind of fucking weird, or it didn't feel like my people. And then I just blame it on myself and think, well, this is you in judgment, this is you and blah, blah, blah. But really, no, when you find your people, and it wasn't clean feeling to me. I just remember feeling all of this weird shit. And then there were people there and like wearing white, and they were walking around, and it kind of, I was like, oh, this is like cultish. Okay, I got you. But they had lots of love. And the guy that came and got us on the golf cart had no shoes on, pouring wet. They acted like it wasn't even raining. And I'm like, oh man, is this your first time drinking? Yeah, it's fucking awesome, man. And he was so cool. I loved him. And they didn't give a fuck. And I said, well, if the Mother Aya is going to make me not give a fuck like that, sign me up. Because it really was. If you've ever had surgery and they give you that don't care shot where you're just sitting there, because I had my arm broken, they had to give me a shot one time that you don't give a fuck. You're laying there and they're like, bitch, I'm going to kill you and your kids. And you're like, okay, all right. That's kind of the energy that they had. Just this just love it. And some of it felt, is this, what? Like, is it fake or is it for real? But, yeah. And I accepted it because, I mean, they were so just hippie, just that hippie vibe. And that's just how they were. You know, they were just a hippie vibe. But now, as I'm going to tell you the ending, I'm going to tell you about the experience. You'll see why they act like that. Because what it does is it boosts your serotonin. That's why you can't be on antidepressants, because you'll get serotonin toxicity. So it boosts your serotonin and all these feel-good hormones. So they're really feeling good. You feel so good and so just like intoxicated with love. That's why I could see, you know, people getting addicted to it. But anyway, so we get there and there's these people around and it's raining and we're walking, trying to like find shit. And I'm like, we brought a tent because there were no private cabins left, which apparently the private cabins are like one bed with like 1980 Goodwill bedding. And it just felt nasty. I look around, I'm like, where are the bathrooms, the showers? Y'all, there are showers outdoors with barely a shower curtain on and like outdoor plumbing exposed. I'm like, wait a minute. Once again, I'm just thinking, okay, Casey, this is something you get to clear. Apparently, when you get on the hippie juice, you won't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So, and I know a lot of you, or some of you that's very just, you know, out there in the hippie stuff. And you're like, yeah, this bitch is superficial and she whatever. Well, you know what? I've never met a hippie like that far hippie that I aspire to be like. So I don't really care. and I'll share my intention with you as well. So I was like looking at the showers. I'm like, Skip, dude, we got what are we gonna do? Like, I need to set up a tent. And I was willing, y'all. I grew up in the goddamn country. Okay, I can shit outside. I can do all that stuff. I was very okay with just taking a shower in the little outdoor showers. I'm like, actually, outdoor showers, that made me feel good, But then they have these buildings outside, like buildings, like just a shop building with a built-in like AC window unit, and they're open. The ones we stayed in did not even have no fucking doors, no sliding doors. There was a building with sliding doors, but it was full. And I'm talking like, y'all, you know what? If you go to preschool or you were in daycare and you had to take fucking naps on a little mat, that's what we had. These little Tempur-Pedic mats, 6 feet apart from the next person that you don't know, an ayahuasca drive-through. And I was like, okay, once again, squirmy to get comfortable. I'm just gonna just deal with my triggers right now. And I did, met cool ass people. Fucking, I like them. Like, it's pretty cool. But there was no doors. I'm like, hold the fuck on. First of all, it's raining and I got to sleep with all these people and it may be shitting themselves. And second of all, there ain't no door and the mosquitoes are out there. But apparently maybe I just won't care. Maybe my energy, my fear, and there's something in me that makes me get bit. You see what I mean? Like, yeah, that's the bad part about being somebody like me is you always just think everything's your fault. You just need to calm down and be with it. So, but whatever. So there was that. I even put bug spray on, whatever. I mean, you see my neck. I mean, I got tagged. My son counted my bug bites last night and it's over like 11. I mean, it's up there, maybe 13. They hurt. But, so there was that. And then you go, everything's like scheduled out. You cannot fucking eat because, you may vomit or some shit. But then you go and you do this ceremony. And it felt very churchy. I felt like I was right back at church, in communion or some shit. And you got to stand up and you say like the prayers or something to all 4, corners of the earth, which is fine. And I felt so much gratitude. I felt a lot of gratitude because you feel the collective energy. I almost like teared up during that because it was so beautiful, but it did feel ceremony-like and religious-like, which I did not like. And part of me is like a rebel. Like people telling me I need to do something like this, like my thing already goes up. Like, first of all, if you're going to tell me what to do, I just want to do the opposite automatically because that's just... You're just going to have to explain it to me a little bit deeper. But I've dealt with that demon. So we did all that. And then after that, we went and got set up on our little mats. And we introduced ourselves and all that shit. And everybody was like really fucking serious and saying like because you had to say like who you are, what you want from Mother Aya, and what brought you to ayahuasca. And I said, who I was. I'm a master energy healer. I said, I've been seeing it since 2012. And I said, fuck it. Can't not ignore it again. Here we are. Let's do it. And they did cuss. So that was cool. So I'm down for a church that cusses. So that was cool. Because everybody said fuck. And they were like funny like that. And everybody else was like really fucking serious and scared. But I said, and they're like, how do you feel about it? What are you feeling now? And like one guy was, everybody was saying things that sounded like the right thing to say. And I just straight up said, I was like, I'm scared shitless. Very excited. And it was kind of funny because I was very outspoken. As a matter of fact, the girl that tripped out next to me, which I'm going to tell you about, the guys that I met thought I was the one tripping out because I was so outspoken in the beginning about just being scared shitless and just kind of, how I am, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. And so anyway, we ended up getting our own little shed that now from 13 people, there's 5 people. So it's Skip, me, and it'll make you feel like you can't do it with your spouse. Don't talk to each other. Don't look at each other. If you're going through your experience and they're going through theirs, you're going to be worried about them. Like, fuck, this is why, like, it was so beginner. Like, if I did it in 2012, great. But I know so much now about energy and everything. And that's why I wanted to tell Sarah, like, you don't really even need to do it because we already do that. When we travel and do shamanic journeys, like, we already do what Mother Aya does. It's just a drug and you get extra fucking love, which is great. And it's puts you right into the transcendental meditation. Like it puts you right into, you close your eyes, your third eye's open. But anyway, then we were sitting there and there's this guy, Cody, next to me. He was like former military, bless his heart. He had done it before. He was struggling so bad. And right initially, I find out his problem and I go, well, what if your back didn't hurt? Like, what would you be doing? Oh, I can't even imagine. And I'm like, but if you could imagine, he goes, I can't. And I'm like, okay, good luck on this. That's why he was still trying to get so many answers. He can't even sober get to this point. And he was like, I just want a McDonald's. I'm like, dear God, these people are so like, I can't eat. That's so like me in high school, so asleep. No wonder you think you need to do ayahuasca 8,000 times. You know what I mean? But hey, I get it. You can't help somebody. I can't make y'all see. I can't make you see. You can't, it's unearned wisdom. It's unearned wisdom. You can listen to me talk. You can do ayahuasca, but it's unearned wisdom. Okay. So, and all this time I would hear about these people, the Amanda Francis and all these people doing ayahuasca, and there was a tonality, there was a tone to their vibration. And that's what it is you can do ayahuasca and it's going to boost you up. It's going to boost you. It's going to set you forward. It's really going to help you to reach the level that you want to reach. But there's still so many empty pieces on the inside because it's unearned wisdom. So you're still going to have to go through some stuff. But yeah, Aya's going to help you get there, but it's not the same as if you did it naturally. Does that make sense? Okay, now, it's just like getting surgery. I can get my nose done, I can get my lips done, I can get my tits done, but if I don't do the inner work, I'm still going to feel like an ugly bitch with a fucked up nose and small titties or whatever. If you get gastric sleeve, you're still going to be the fat woman with all that trauma and all that shame and guilt and feeling like a piece of shit and being addicted to food or whatever it is. You're still that same person. You just got a different body now. So you have to do the inner work, right? So now that I got that out of the way. So now we start the ceremony because everything's religious like, right? You stand in a circle. And like, for example, I connected to this other girl in the circle. She was an older woman, white hair, totally looked like a little shaman lady. And I was like, so are you a healer? And she goes, no. I'm at a place where like, I want to do that. And I think I should do that. And right then I'm like, dear God, she's so confused. I said, well, what kind of work did you do? And she said, oh, I owned spas for years. I'm like, so you were a healer. You just did it through spas. And she looked at me like I had 3 heads. And she goes, yeah, I guess so. It's her 30th ayahuasca trip. She can't even see that. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's a tool. It is not a fix all. You have to do this other work, like the work that we do, the personal inner soul growth, and use that as a tool at best. And I'm going to tell you how to use it. I'm going to tell you why I am going to order some and get with a personal shaman that can come around and do personal ceremonies and even maybe add in some at a Hotmomz retreat. Stay tuned. So we're standing there in the circle and you have to do, and I've done like all kind of rituals before, like with pagan. My friend is very pagan. And so on May Day, you jump the fire and you twirl around and dance with flowers in your hair, you know, for fertility during Easter. I mean, like my friends, I've done all kind of shit. I've gone to church where they holiness and they touch you and you fall out and the spirits got you. Like, I'm so open-minded when it comes to this stuff. So I get in a circle, we set our intentions, and I don't even know what he was praying. I just go straight into my own prayer, like love and going into my thing and talking to my guides, calling on my guides and angels and like what I'm going to get out of it. You're holding hands. And then when you're done, they come around, they sage you, which I did appreciate. They sage you, and then you get some rice. You hold the rice. You set your intent for what you want Mother to come through and teach you, and you throw it in the fire. And then he walks around very intensely with this tobacco, and he's like setting his intentions and like blowing the smoke. It's very ritualistic, very cool. And you're getting gratitude. You're in gratitude. I'm already feeling Mother at this point. My knees are fucking weak, and I'm just in such gratitude. Like when I go on the beach, certain days when you're just having those great meditations. If those of you that are religious, when God's just really talking to you and it's got your heart all wrapped up and you feel just, you're just there. I already felt the energy of this medicine, and I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen? This is going to be awesome, because it already felt just like so much just love and gratitude already. And so he's walking around, and he goes over there and blows it on the drink, and they're telling you already, look, you may vomit. This is the most horrendous shit you will ever drink. It tastes like a tree's ass mixed with dirt in it. It's very earthy. And I'm like, okay. And people were like, oh yeah, I wanted to vomit. I almost dry heaved just right when it went down. So I didn't know what to expect, but you know, I'm gonna tell you how that went too. So we go over there and walk up, and he said, so the normal dose was a tablespoon. I'm already tripping balls off going, okay, I'm very sensitive, and doctors and shamans and everybody that worked with me, I'm very sensitive. They said, if you want to, just do a quarter. Say, I want a quarter to see how the introduction to the medicine, okay? I walked up to him, and he's very intimidating, this shaman guy. I said, it's my first time. I would like a quarter. He goes, why? And I said, because it's my first time, I can already feel the medicine working. I don't want to trip the fuck out. So I go over there to get the water, because like apparently we were supposed to get our cups and do it all together. I missed that memo. So me and Skip just went over there and fucking chugged that shit. Whoops. And then the little girl with a nose ring and everything, she's like, it's okay, which I love that part. That is the great part about it. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. Go get on your mat. So it did not, to me, y'all, I've had some bad shit. I've had to drink Epsom salt with water. I've had to drink olive oil, a cup of olive oil, because I've had gallstones. I've had to drink castor oil. I've had to do some nasty fucking shit. All right. This right here tastes like it had a prune, the way prunes taste, with like gritties, like almost like a dirt in the bottom. It wasn't bad. Like, I mean, I just did it and I'm like, it tastes like a prune. People looked at me like I had 3 heads. I'm like, there was just one person I told that to. I was like, yeah, it wasn't bad because I just did it. Just went down, got some water. I was fine. No gag reflex, no nothing. I'm fucking good, bitch. I can lick the grass out there. I'm so just mentally prepared to do whatever it takes to get healthy. So I'm good. But the guy that wanted McDonald's, he was struggling with it. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, we do it and I go sit down and, you know, if you've ever done a drug where you're like, when's it going to kick in? Oh, fuck, right? So I get on my mat and and this is 8 o'clock at fucking night, which I'm already like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out on sleep. Cause they're looking at me when I ask them, I'm like, am I going to be able to sleep? And they were like, They wouldn't even answer. And I'm like, oh fuck. Like, what the fuck? So I'm laying there and then I kind of feel like, my ears get a little hot, like you've taken niacin or something. Ears get a little hot. And then those of you, see, this is why it pays to do your soul work and your trauma work and your mindset work before this type of stuff. Because the old me, I would have tripped out and I would have fought it so hard and I would have purged and vomited and I would have really struggled. But this is what it showed me this time because I've come so far, my mindset. And so it happened and I was just aware, you know, what I teach y'all, be curious, not judgmental. So I saw it and I was like, oh, cool. Okay. I wonder if that's that. Anytime my mind started to go like, oh my God, I'm about to start fucking tripping. I'm about to start just coming on. Am I going to fucking die? I didn't do that. I used to do that. But when it happened, I was like, okay, my ears are hot. Interesting. Okay. This must be kicking in. And anytime you close your eyes, you journey. And really journeying is like those of you that have been able to go deep into meditations and shamanic journeys where you know, you can see people. And I know some of you, if you lay down at night and you like close your eyes and you see people's faces, like maybe your grandma, or you see something, that's hallucinating. It's the same thing. Visions and all that, or when God puts something on your heart and you can like feel it and see it, that's hallucinating. So when I say hallucinating, when they say hallucinating, just know it's visions. So whenever you close your eyes, you go into a journey. You don't just sit there with your eyes open like you're tripping on magic mushrooms and like trees are melting. It's not like that. I thought it was going to be like that, but it's not at all. This medicine puts you straight into third eye activation and heart. That's all the medicine is, she is nothing. Well, it's Mother Earth. It's like Mother Earth. But the mother, if you think about a mother, a good mother, what is she? A mother's love. It's very nurturing. Like, oh my God, it heals everything. It's just so nurturing. It's like, it's okay, child. Like Mother Willow and Pocahontas, just like has all the answers and so much wisdom and like, you're going to be okay. You get just so much wisdom and love, right? Now, mommy may spank that ass and tell you need to get your shit together, but she's going to come back and tell you, good job, child. You did such a good job. Just that, you know, that deep inner mother wisdom. So that's the medicine. That's what you're consuming is that. So it really, then this is why people trip out. And a lot of men have a hard time and they sit there going, bleh, bleh. It's because men aren't taught to feel. So the second your heart starts to open, they fight it because they're not used to feeling it. It's very uncomfortable for them. For a lot of you too, you know. And when I got in here, when I came into this stuff, I had alexithymia. Like, I mean, I couldn't feel. People would be like, you're stressed out or you're angry. And I'm like, I don't feel that way. I don't feel codependent. I don't feel angry. I don't feel jealous. But you know what I'm saying? So if I would have done it then, I would have probably been the same one puking and shitting and fucking crying and stomping and all that stuff. So that's why it's so important to learn in this program how to heal your shit by feeling your shit, and it's totally fine. So the ears started getting hot and I was like, okay. I started finding myself like worried about what was going to happen. Then went right back to it and trusting and just allowing and trusting and allowing. Totally safe, trusting and allowing. Ho'oponopono prayer, you know, trusting and allowing. And then next thing happened, I had some of these like interesting things, pain elements that like I had gallbladder issues at one point in my life. They cleared up, but that came in. It flared and I was like, I'd put lots of love there. And then something about my grandmother popped up, which she had gallbladder issues. It went away after I put lots of love there. Thank you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. If you have anything to show me here, let's clear it out, you know, doing the clearing energy work. And then I had my knees. Oh my God. I'll never forget my knees. And I remember when I went into my first Reiki session ever and he was like, your knees, and these are all about moving forward. My knees were aching and I was like, oh, curious, not judgmental. Oh, that's funky. Okay. I'm excited to see what there's to learn there. I'm willing to heal. I'm willing to, you know, I'm just kept in that. I was so in that mindset of, I'm so willing to receive healing. Show me, you know, so it's like you know, those of you at the altar praying to God, you're just surrendering. You're just surrendering to the healing. Show me what there is to heal. Show me. I'm totally open. Let's go. And so then I'm closing my eyes, and they showed me in kindergarten. They showed me myself in kindergarten. And I've got lots of home videos, and it was the one where I had kind of long hair, specifically in this red little like outfit with stars, or like stars on it or something. Anyway, she told me that kindergarten was where a lot of things traumatic happened, but not so traumatic like, oh my God. It's just saying that that's when the veil was pulled over, as I was a light being until kindergarten. I was in kindergarten, and they showed me talking under the monkey bars or this plaything. And I remember it, to like Deanna Halsey, and she was upset and crying, and I was under there trying to help her. And they were like, mother was like, you've always been a healer. You've always been this magical rebel spirited. You're Poppy. She goes, you're Poppy from the Trolls. You're Poppy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking Poppy. Which if you were there, you'd be like, this bitch is fucking tripping. But like she was telling me like, you are Poppy, you know, with the light that leads people and spreads love and all that. And that's who I was. She told me you were Poppy. You were very, very Poppy in kindergarten. And then the things that happened to you caused you to close that off. So they showed me playing Red Rover and the emotions and stuff. And I'm just crying, not like losing my shit crying, just very like calmly crying. I'm just wiping my tears because there's so much love here. I'm feeling her say, I'm crying because there was just so much love, and knowing that meeting back up with yourself. Does that make your true self, your authentic self? You meeting back up with the parts of you before the shit came through that closed your heart and caused you to be unhappy. So I met back with that, and I was so grateful to know that I am totally safe. That is me. And so now my job is just to pull the shit off to be all of me, right? Childlike. And even the biblical 2 weeks ago, it came up, childlike. And I'm like, what the fuck you want me to play? Okay, but I get it. So she was showing me all about kindergarten, just showing me who I was at that point. And I did remember, I was like, you know what? She was asking me, she goes, well, do you remember, you know, getting scared when your mom would drop you off? And I was like, no. She's like, exactly. You were this then, and you were doing all this stuff, and you were just so beautiful. You were in your own thing. You were just this little girl playing outside, and you were just that wild spirited, free spirited, goddessy woman. Like, oh my God. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. I bet I said thank you 1,000 times. Thank you. I love it. There's so much love, so much gratitude. And then the shit kicker. Are you ready for this? Holy fuck. And then when you open your eyes, you just stop journeying. You close your eyes and you go back to the meditation. They've got really cool music playing too, that's like infused with love. So that's always cool. And at this time, the guy over here that's kind of like creepy anyway, he starts flipping out. I'm talking like he's going, "Rugh!" And he's fucking like dry heaving, and it's loud. And I'm like, fuck, I wish he wasn't doing that. It's kind of like taking me out of trance, you know, fuck. And because anything like that, it takes you out of trance. I'm not wanting to heal him. I was sending him love at one point because he was going through it, and I'll tell you what I felt. And when I asked him about it the next day, and he said, yeah. So he was going like you can't hear it because I'm in my car, but he was like kicking and getting up and moving and spilling shit. And like it was like an exorcist. And it didn't scare me. I was just like, fuck, okay, let me just go back, and I could get back. I could, you know, recenter and realign. But it was kind of like, you know, kind of distracting. So he was flipping his shit. The other guy walked out. At this point, Skip's sitting up. I looked over at Skip, and Skip's just in the corner staring at the guy. And Skip gets up and goes outside, I guess, because that guy's being so loud. But whatever. And they have to follow you, and you got to take your bucket everywhere because you may be dizzy. Like, I could walk. Y'all, I was high stepping. Like, because I had to run to get something because it was raining, and I could just run. Like, I mean, totally fine. But you just have this like overall just gratitude, like you're just kind of like nature hippie-ish, whatever. Anyway, so I closed my eyes again, and this came through. This was beautiful. This was so fucking beautiful. This was my favorite part of this whole journey. Holy fuck. Our experience. So my mom, y'all know my story with my mom. And I thought of y'all. I thought of my girls. I thought of Hotmomz. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is what they need. you know, a lot of us have estranged relationships with our families for great reason, for really, really good reasons. It's of the highest good that we don't stay under our parents. But a lot of us have moms, you know, we've read, Will You Ever Be Good Enough? A lot of us have mother wounds. A lot of us have mother wounds, or father wounds for that matter, or sister wounds, or whatever wounds, family, our nuclear family, you know, our moms, dads, sisters, uncle, whatever. Caregivers if you grew up in foster care, or even if you didn't. Like, this is the part that I was just so grateful for. And I've heard Tony Robbins talk about this, and I don't even really like Tony Robbins because he's kind of like very mainstream. He's really fucking good. Like, I love him, and I just would vibe with him all the time, but he's not one of my gurus, but I respect him to the highest. And he mentioned one time about forgiveness, and I know you've heard forgiveness. Forgive your mother, forgive your abuser, forgive that. And I've always told you in trauma, you don't have to forgive them. It is not okay what they did to you. Forgive yourself for taking on the shame, the stories made up for the abuse, or whatever. And Tony, I remember him saying he was so grateful for his mother and father, and he was so grateful for his experience and everything of growing up so poor and growing up the way he did. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I aspire to be that. Maybe one day, like, I'll feel that way. Because when I met my first seer, Glenda, love you, Glenda. She's probably dead now. Glenda with no teeth and rats running across her floor. She told me at 17, you need to make amends with your mother. And boy, man, I took my mom, I'm talking like for years after that, I thought it was do things and be codependent. And like, I took her to rehab. I took her to doctors. I bought her stuff. I paid for stuff. I paid her bill. I gave her car, like my car. I did so much when I didn't have anything. I bought her shoes when I couldn't even afford shoes for myself. You know, I did all that stuff. What a lot of you do out of guilt and obligation because they're your family. And that wasn't it. I thought that's what it was, but no, this was spiritual. And here's what came through. I had the most overwhelming gratitude for my mother. And my ego is like, well, do you mean like the drug part? And I'm like, no, check this. All of our parents, all of anybody that's done us wrong like that, at the end of the day, this is just me for my mom. I don't know how this is going to come in for you. But for my mom, she did things out of love for me. Even if your mom and our mom said something like, or they told us about something that was very inappropriate they shouldn't have told us about. And if you ask them why, my mom will say, it's because I didn't want you to go through that. I wanted you to know that that wasn't okay. And I did that to protect you. Even though that's fucked up because she needed some help, and that really wasn't appropriate to tell a very young child or show a young child at that age or do that to a young child or whatever. She was doing things out of her goodness because my mother did have a really big heart. I mean, it was a huge heart, right? And I remember this ballerina bag. I did like dance when I was probably 5 or 6. Lots of stuff at 5 or 6 that was coming up. But I remember doing dance or ballet, and there was this beautiful pink ballerina bag, and now it just made me feel so good. It was like, you know, my YSL bag now or Louis bag now. It was just like this bag, and it was beautiful and pink and had the ballerina shoe on it, and I wanted to put all my ballerina stuff in there. And she got that for me. And you know, a lot of stuff that she bought for me was just like, it was a beg and plead and look how much I do, you know, it was like all that. But when I was young, I guess, I don't know, I just remember little things like that she did, regardless if she raised hell when I bought it, regardless of if she brought up guilt, regardless if she said we can't afford it. I remembered her taking me, doing the things and putting me in dance and buying me that stuff. Like, regardless if she had problems with that and had money blocks and she resented me, and because I know that she did, but deep down, I saw the love part of it where used to, and this whole other time, I've seen the hate part of it. I've seen the negative part of it instead of the love part of it. So I'm sitting there and I'm so grateful for having her, even as a piece of shit. I forgave her for everything. And I wrote a letter. I wrote the letter that I was supposed to write when I was 17. I finally wrote the letter. Not going to talk to her. She could die today and I would be like, yeah. But I was so grateful. I forgave her and I was like, you know what? You know, it's just, you're going to get it right in the next life. Like, it's going to be okay. You did the best you could. It was hard. You know, you gave me things and you did, it's almost like everything she's always wanted to hear came through. so much love came through and gratitude for the fucked up part and the highest part of my mom. I saw how hard she worked and how much she did and never truly appreciated herself, or nobody appreciated her. Like, I saw that, and I was just like flooded with this love and appreciation. No matter, it's almost like if your mom was, because she was an addict and she was an alcoholic, and I just didn't care. I just unconditionally appreciated her and loved her. But I said this, I said, this is not, and I was like, you'd be so proud, you and the women and the grandmothers, like y'all, everything you've ever wanted, the money and the man and the life and the way that I look, you would be so proud. I am fulfilling all of your wildest desires. I am doing that. You are so proud, this lineage, and I'm doing all this stuff. And I in the letter, I even wrote this. This was during my journey. I woke up and wrote the letter, and I said, this does not mean we're going to talk again. I want you to think of this as if you gave me up for adoption and you don't know where I went. But just know that we ended up very successful and so proud. So thank you for being the surrogate. It was almost like, thank you for being the vessel that got me here. And thank you for being the vessel. That's kind of what my gratitude was for. And in that, I forgave so much. And in that forgave myself, right? Because apparently I was harboring still this pain and sorrow because my mom's an addict and I didn't have a mom. I mean, I didn't have a mom. She was ridden with anxiety and always on, anxiety medications and depression medications and drinking and into her work. I mean, she did everything. She fucking worked full time. She cleaned the house spotless, fed me, did everything. My dad didn't do fucking shit. She's that woman. She was that woman. And I recognized that. And so I just, in my mind and on the letter and even to her in the energy, I was like, I want you to imagine that you gave me up. It's almost like I'm helping her with the separation. I want you to imagine that you knew you couldn't take care of me. And out of love, you gave me up to a family that could nurture me and help me become the woman that you've always wanted to become. Know that happened. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Sarah said that. Okay, yeah. So isn't that cool, Sarah? You'll understand this like more than anybody. So that all happened. And then I had the letter there. And so that was cool. And then in the meantime, a homeboy's tripping his balls off and I'd come in and out of the thing. That happened. And what was another thing? I think, okay, so that's the first journey. After that, it was just like very relaxed. And then I heard him say, second cup. Because you can get another dose. If you're not journeying or you're not, having the feelings that you want to feel, you're just not feeling it, you can get a second dose. And so here he came and he's very like scary. It was not scary, but like he had this energy because and so that to me, it should feel very safe. But anyway, he came around and he was asking the girl and then he asked me, he was like, how do you feel? And I was like, feel good? Yeah, she goes, yeah, I get it. I'm so proud of you. And I said, I feel okay. He goes, do you want a second cup? And I was like, do you think I need a second? He goes, yeah, come on. And I was like, fuck, I'm fucking scared. This gets funny, y'all. So I get so scared and I go out there and I look at Skip. Skip meets me and he goes, Skip's totally sober like me and we're fucking hungry. And I looked at Carlos, the shaman. I go, I'm fucking hungry too. Does that mean I goddamn died of starvation in the last life? He goes, possibly. So he tells the girl and they're all fucking hammered. All the other like shamans are over there. Meanwhile, they're like drinking the fuck out of it, like really floating, baby. And he goes, give her a quarter cup. I'm like, yeah, quarter. I do not want a tablespoon. Give me a quarter more. Okay. So I do it. And the girl, she had so much love and she was like totally hippied out and gorgeous. She had on this white gown. So literally I would call them guardian angels all night. I'm like, are you my guardian angel? Just laughing. But they had that energy and I like the women better. The women I felt more comfortable with than the men. They had that more loving energy. There was sweet Damien though. He was in my tent. He was sweet, but whatever. She was my bitch. She was like this moon goddessy person, but she lays me a mat. She goes, do you want to lay by the fire? It was still kind of like dripping rain. Do you want to lay under the fire? And the moon was out. I'm like, yeah, I'm already like in hippie state. So she lays out the mat in front of the fire and it's like dripping rain. I'm looking up and I'm looking at the moon. I'm looking at the trees and I'm just totally like feeling myself just at one with nature. And you're just all this hippied out shit. And I laid there and I felt resistance. I felt a lot of stuff came up, like this voice saying, this is bullshit. I can't stretch out, and I'm not comfortable. God damn it, I'm getting bit by mosquitoes the whole fucking time. Like, oh, and just, God, when's this gonna be over? Just resistance, right? Just this like frustration, anger coming up. And I noticed it. I was just like, okay, there's that. And then I thought something that was kind of like very negative, like questioning the shamans, and then whoop, this raindrop hit me on my third eye, and I'm like, oh, right, bitch is fucking in tune. Like, everything. You think things mean things now? When you, like, everything, I was like, okay, mother told me to shut the fuck up and go back to journey. And I was like, you just listen. So I noticed my ass was getting wet, and I look around and I tell her, because you have to, like, tell them for help. If you get up all of a sudden, they get really alarmed because they don't want you to fall in all this shit. But I said, hey, I want to go back inside to my mat. Well, she gets me. It's almost like she knew I was about to go there. She gets me and takes me in there, and I look down, and this bitch ain't got no shoes on, walking through the mud. I'm like, oh my God. So I get in there, y'all. So I get on my mat, and homeboy, he had already, like, they did rape, which is if you go too fucking hard, they'll blow this tobacco shit up and it grounds you, but it grounds you but takes you up higher. So he already did that. He laying over there like a kind of in Shavasana at this point. Lisa's across from me, and she's a black woman. I fucking loved her first night. So cute and pretty, and we connected right off the bat. Imagine that. And she's across from me, Tampa, got a little 4-year-old, and she told me a story. Her grandmother lived till 104. Right when she started talking, I said, you're a witch doctor? And she goes, well, I don't know. That's why I'm here. And I'm like, bitch, she about to get fixed. Not fixed, but like she about to find out, because her energy was like that voodoo Louisiana powerful shaman lady. She was that. And her grandmother, she goes, girl, my grandma, we knew not to fuck with grandma back in the day. So that's Lisa. She's across from me. So I lay back, and the girl tucks me in, and I go, thanks, Mom. I'm still like having my sense of humor, and she tucks me in, and girl, bitch. So first, my body, I did get a little itchy. Oh, man. All right. So here's what happened. Next thing you know, I hear Lisa, shit you not, I wish I had it on record. And you can't have your phones or nothing. Thank God. Because you don't want to be distracted. She starts going like this, because y'all know how funny that black woman laugh is. Oh my God. She's a little bitty thing too. Like, I actually picked her up and hugged her after it was over. So she's laying over there, and it sounds like this. Hold on. It sounds like this. She'd go. Like dying, laughing. And I sit up, and because it goes on, and she's like, like fucking losing it. And she'd be like, are you serious? Going nuts, sitting up, stomping the ground. And like, I start laughing, and I look at the facilitators, and I said, is this normal? And they're like, oh yeah. And they're laughing. And I'm like, I'm laughing. And at that point I started feeling a little trippy, and I'm like, thank Jesus. I was like, thank you that she's making me laugh, because I was starting to get scared. She said, that sounds like my mother-in-law. Yeah, Kate, she's like, yeah. So she starts rolling, laughing and shit. And so I just lay back down and let her keep doing her thing, because I'm starting to feel it. So I start feeling like, if you've ever tripped out, I started tripping. And it feels like, you just, I don't know if you ever tripped, man, if you've ever taken a drug, but I started the trip. And here's what it looked like. You didn't want to close your eyes, because it would start. Because I was like, fuck, I don't want to close my eyes, but I got to close my eyes. And you're like, ah! All right. So, like blood cells, like the way blood cells look on a microscope, like the little divots, and it shows it going through a vein, and it goes like, you know what I'm talking about? I closed my eyes, and this bitch, and imagine it was a woman. It was definitely a woman, an older woman, just looked witchy. She was there, and I saw that the neon colors of it looked like blood, but it was coursing through like tree branches, and it was coming into me, right? I could feel it. It was moving. I could feel it was neon green. That's why you see all the psychedelic colors of ayahuasca paintings, like from the artists, and they're all like those neons and stuff. It was neon green, and the branches were like these neon colors, and I saw that shit, and I don't really do well with that kind of stuff, and I started like tripping out, and then I was like, am I going to get sick? And all that's resistance. So all that is resistance. And I'm like, okay, here it is. And I observed it, because you're still conscious, like you're still conscious. And I observed it and I was like, okay, I went back to Ho'oponopono, you're safe, all that stuff. And it got a little heavier and it got heavier and heavier. And I remember I sat up and I looked over at the facilitator and I said, come here. And I said, okay, I'm scared. And I said, I'm starting a trip. I'm scared. How long is this shit gonna last? She goes, it won't last long. The morning's gonna be here and it will be all over. And I looked at her and I go, because connecting to your breath, because your lungs actually make DMT. So they always teach you go back to your breath. And I'm like, okay, what did you do when you felt like this? And she goes, she looked at me, I'll never forget, she has like cornrows and shit. She goes, ask her what she wants. Ask her what she wants. And she just left me. And I did. I went back in and I sat up and I'm sitting up at this point. And this is how I look. This is how I journeyed because I didn't want to laying down was, I sat up and just rested my head in my hand. I journeyed the whole time like that. And I closed my eyes and I was like, what do you want? And you know what this bitch said? This bitch said, she is like, I want to play. Like, I want to play. And I just was like, and I said, okay. Like, I just had that attitude. I was like, okay, fuck it. Let's play. Let's play. What you got? I just had that attitude. Like, let's play. Like, just play, just with it. Not like avoiding it. Just like, let's play. Just allowing again, like surrendering to the energy of it. Cause you got to ride. You ain't getting off this motherfucker. And when you realize you're not getting off the roller coaster, you just got to like close your fucking eyes or open them or what. You just got to ride the ride. So I was like, we're going to ride the ride. So when she's like, I want to play, I said, okay. And I sat there and breathed through it. And I saw, if a movie screen, like, you know, like if you've got just a screen here, but nothing, you can't see anything out of the peripheral. If a movie screen is here, I saw a tarantula leg. And then I said, are you fucking serious? Okay, but I wasn't scared. Was not scared. I'm telling y'all, it's like a mother's with you. It's like your mother is with you. It is like a mother is with you. I saw these tarantula legs. And guess what happened to them? Boof! Aphrodite popped up out of them. Just straight up. These tarantula legs, before the spider even appeared, because y'all know I'm terrified of fucking spiders, and spiders used to represent that energy of my mother. The dark energy. Not good enough. You can't have that. It's too easy. It's too good to be true. Spider legs came in and then shot up out of it was this beautiful Aphrodite goddess. She had white dress on, blonde looking hair. It was Aphrodite. I knew it. I just knew it was fucking her. And then they showed me these scorpions would appear and this beautiful stuff would come out of the scorpions. Not like out of the scorpions, but morphed into this beautiful stuff. And she told me, she goes, this is you. This is what you've done. This is what, Sarah, this is why you're like, yeah, we've taken our darkness and we have made it into the goddess. We made it into something beautiful because that's alchemy. That's what we do here. We take our shit and we turn it into what we want. So she was showing me what I've done. And I prayed, my intentions. Oh my God. My intention was not to fix me or anything else. My intention was purely love. I said, I want to be flooded with love because love heals all. I threw the rice in and I said, love. I want more love. I want more self-love. I want you to show me things through the eyes of love. I love, love, love. That's all I wanted. And I want to fix my brain. I said, I want to heal my brain. I want to heal my brain. I want to heal my brain. And that was like a very small piece, but love was everything that I wanted. And so as she's showing me this, I'd come back every time she would show me and I would just go, thank you, thank you. And I would like almost cry, just so thankful that she's showed me all this. Sarah goes, fuck yeah. So I was just so thankful. And after that ride, after seeing, showing me these things and all that, then she kind of died down and she goes, okay. She goes, she was like that grandmother Willow. She was like, great job, child. You did such a good job. Just like a mom. And you're just like, oh, thank you, thank you. And you're just like, you're working with this loving woman, female energy. It's awesome. That's why they call her Mother Aya. You're just working with her and she's working on you and she loves to work on you. And she goes, I would feel something and she'd say, no, I'm still working on you. I'm just going to work over here now. And then she'd say, I'm just working on your mind. I'm working on your brain. And she'd tell me she's working on me. And I just laid there, y'all. I sat there like this. I just laid, there was tiki torches on this side because it was open with the mosquitoes. I just laid there and I stared at that fucking flame for 90 minutes. 90 minutes stared at a flame. So I saw hearts in the flame. It would burn and in my mind I go, are you fucking serious? left motherfucking heart in the flame. By the way, meanwhile, this is why I probably could have journeyed a lot more, but that girl Lisa across from me, they had to come get her with a stretcher, like a witches would be and taken to a fucking burning stake. She was flipping out hard. She had something come in, and I never witnessed this. She was flipping out on the floor, like, and it sounded kind of bad, and everybody in the whole place, in the whole woods, could hear her. They thought it was me. She was flipping out, and I woke up and I looked, and I was like, that's not, something's got her. And people that are flipping out, I said, that's an entity. And I looked at the person, I said, that's energy, right? I said, that's an energy. They're like, yeah. And so it's almost like an exorcism is like happening. And I was just sending them love. And then Rory, bless his heart, when he was doing something at one point, I could tell the way he was moving. I was like, poor baby. I did. This is how I was talking. I go, poor baby was sexually abused. Oh, he was so abused as a child. And I would just do the Ho'oponopono prayer. And then when he got done, I said, hey, Rory, good job, man. Like, this was after we all finished like our journey. And he goes, thanks. And it was like very childlike. But I'll tell you what he told me the next day. But I could feel when they were processing the energy of what they were processing. It was crazy. But I'm going to share, though, and if you're scared about it, I'm going to tell you why they did that and how you can avoid it. But anyway, so that happened, and I laid there and staring at the flame. And then I got done about 2 a.m., which was not a vibe. Went outside, met with 3 other men, boys, and we were all talking about it. We all had a similar thing. And this one, he was from Romania, and he had a hard time. He had a lot of terror that came up. And I totally helped him. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just started doing my work. And it's like I was helping him integrate so much. He left the next day and goes, I need he got my number for him and his wife. He wants all the stuff, wants me to help him with this. I was like, okay. So apparently, like I am one of the shaman people, right? Totally helped him with that. Exactly what we do here. Like, who told you it wasn't okay to be scared? And like, I said, well, were you emotionally neglected as a child? Yeah. And how he went through all this stuff. So it's basically trauma. It's just trauma healing. That's why they say ayahuasca is like 20 years of psychotherapy, because we all know therapy's like, come on, Jesus Christ. So come on. So anyway, talked with him. Meanwhile, Skip's going to have to tell you about his. Skip had a hard time. Skip, it was very beautiful. But Skip went through some shit. Matter of fact, he hasn't had nicotine. He was so addicted to his vape nicotine. He hasn't had that in 3 or 4 days. Hasn't even wanted it. And y'all, this is stuff like miraculous. This is stuff where you get codependent. You're like, I wish you would just do this. I wish you would just do that. If you have a food addiction, if anything, and you want it gone, and you don't want to wait to do the work, you may have a little trip, little journey, but it's going to be fixed when you're done with ayahuasca. And so we went out there, and I was talking to the guys, and I look over, and Skip has pissed himself in his pants. It was piss in his pants, and he's folding a blanket. He has this blanket, and he's like folding it, and he's stretching. He's got his legs sprawled out. Big ass guy, all by himself on the lawn, stretching, doing all this stuff. And then he's like out of it. He's fucking out of it. And, it's hilarious. You got to hear him tell the side of the story. But he had so much shit unprocessed. And it's sad. A lot of men were really struggling because they haven't addressed anything. They don't do a daily practice. This isn't a lifestyle for them. So when they come and do Aya, everything comes in. Can you imagine? So I got to eat snacks, which was like celery, carrot, something really light. Because you were supposed to do another ceremony the next day. But here's what happened. So after this point, when I'm tripping, in my mind, I go, I'm leaving tomorrow. This is some bullshit. I want to be clean. This tripping bullshit is not necessary to get the love and the things that need to come through, because it wasn't. How do I word this? It's like a massage. You don't have to feel pain for it to work. You don't have to trip your balls off to receive healing. So when everything calmed down, you're wide awake. And I'll explain it this way. If you've ever taken a narcotic after surgery, like Meprigan or Lorcet or, morphine, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or me personally, I can't take them because I can't sleep on them. I'm like out of it, but I'll wake up and think of crazy shit, like almost hallucinate. They make me almost like put me out of my mind, So it was like that. You're kind of like can't sleep. You're kind of like on you're not high, not caffeinated. It's it's like you took a fucking morphine. It's like you can close your eyes, but you ain't getting restful sleep kind of thing. And it's 3 a.m. By the way, oh my God, I forgot to tell you about this. Guess what happened before we started the goddamn ceremony? We get a phone call from our girl that sat with the kids and everything. Deza's bleeding out, fucking shitting blood and shaking. When we left, I knew she didn't feel good, but I was like, she's just sad. She was in her cage, which she does not go in her cage, and she was shaking. She was shaking, and I'm like, poor baby's sad. Because nothing else happened, right? Oh my God. Fucking Lexi calls us and goes, I don't know what to do. She's tripping. She goes, I don't know what to do. Deza's pooping blood. She's shaking really bad. Something's wrong with her. I don't know what to do. I'm getting the neighbors to come over here. I'm calling the vet. And I'm like, oh my God, this is probably 20 fucking minutes before we do the ceremony. And I'm like, great, Casey. Great. You just had to have something fucking come up. And I'm like, no, this is all perfect. This must be part of it. So I'm like, right before I put the phone up, our neighbor, Giselle, which, Sarah, you've worked with Giselle and Megan, she came over and got Deza and took her to the animal ER and sat with her until she was done at 10:30 p.m. After I tripped and after I did all that, because at this point I'm like, Deza's going to die. I'm like, don't spend over $2,000, because at first I'm like, don't spend over $3,000. Skip Hermes said, he goes, fuck, we'll get a new dog for that. And I was like, just don't spend over $2,000 because it's the vet ER. She's shitting out her ass. She's pooping blood and about to die. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck's wrong with my Frenchie? Y'all know, there was nothing wrong with Deza. So I forget all about that during my trip, obviously. Fully prepared to receive the call that she passed. Fully prepared for the call that my dog passed. And after we calmed down and I laid back down, that drug addict guy that I was telling y'all about, the weird guy, everybody else was kind of asleep and out of it. And I was sitting there kind of still awake, and he was pacing. Like, he was pacing the floor and like outside and acting weird, and just like something didn't feel right. And I was like, I'm not sleeping in here with this, and you could call it paranoia or whatever. I was just like, I just don't feel safe. And I was like, this is some bullshit. It's nasty. Fuck, I am not doing a goddamn drink tomorrow. Tomorrow night, fuck this. I've got to sleep. I've got kids and I got to get back to work. I need sleep, right? And parts of me was like, oh, they'll say that it's something and I'm this way and I just need to be whatever. And even one of the girls was like, yeah, you just need to go to the Amazon in the jungle for a few days and you really won't care. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what I aspire. I'm not doing this for any, I don't, like, what? I grew up like that. I don't need to go through that. I'm over the thing of need to trip balls off or need to sit out here and get snake bit and fucking attacked by mosquitoes and get West Nile virus in the rain and not bathe my ass and not sleep for 14 hours to think I got a good experience. I don't need that. So I fucking went and slept in his truck. I went to the damn truck at 3 a.m. and called the vet ER to see like how my dog was doing. She goes, oh my God, we sent her home. Here's what it is. She was so stressed out because a lot of times when she goes, is this the first time y'all left her? And I was like, yeah. And she just fucking she went into full PTSD mode, y'all. And because when we got back home, she's better. Like, so I didn't know. Next time we go out of town without her, I'll just have to get her some like doggy Xanax. It's pitiful. So yeah, that happened. Thank God she's alive. So I slept in the fucking truck, lack thereof, like on and off, because the sleep, like I'm saying, it's like you're on a narcotic or something. On and off, had to crack the windows in Orlando fucking heat in September. You can imagine, okay? Miserable. Could not stretch out. Skip comes to the car the next morning crying like he's in bad shape. He had to go get an IV. Because they have like Myers cocktail. He went and got tapped in for a Myers cocktail. He was out of it and telling me all this shit. Like he was so fucked up. I thought he was stroking out the night before. He could not move, laying there and telling me like this shit. And I told the guy, I said, is he okay? He goes, oh yeah, the medicine's got him. And I was like, fuck. I wasn't really worried though, because you're not worried. When you're on this stuff, it's really hard to be worried because there's so much gratitude and love. You're so much serotonin, I guess. So the next morning I was just like, we got cleared by the medics and they kind of got, they felt like we didn't like the place, but here's the deal. I feel like for me, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to buy the shit. I think that I want to do it every 8 weeks, until I don't want to do it anymore, but I'm not doing it there. To me, it's nasty. I don't care if it's beautiful weather or not. I want to be with me and one other person, maybe, and a shaman, or me, or just and one other person. I like privacy. I like luxury. I want a nice bathtub. I want to be able to be in a safe environment. If I want to sleep and there's not some, and that guy the next day, he told me, he goes, yeah, I used to be addicted to heroin. And if I didn't do that, I'd go on a killing spree. And I'm like, oh, no wonder I went and slept in the fucking truck. But I want to feel fully safe. And I know that's probably part of, well, bitch, if you'd have done 2 more drinks of ayahuasca, you'd feel safe. I get it. And I hear you. Y'all, we left and stayed in a hotel that night. And when we checked in at like 2 o'clock, we slept on and off until 6 p.m. and then slept all night. I told Skip, I said, it would have been irresponsible for us to stay all weekend and not sleep. I don't care. And that's part of probably the thing that I could clear out. But for me personally, I'm going to do it again. I absolutely loved it. I think that so many people that come in and just struggle their ass off, if you could just do it one time, and then you may love Soul Quest. People love it. Book far enough out so you can get a private cabin, you know? But I think that if you could just do it one time, a lot of things would make sense to you and you could heal a lot faster, and easier. It would just be a much more pleasurable experience because, like I say, love helps a lot of shit. That's why I love working with Sarah. Her sessions are amazing. She channels so much love. So, but as far as what I do, I could be a shaman that helps integrate because things make so much sense to me. But what I'm going to do is do it on Skip first. I'm going to order some and do a 1/4 cup on him, or do the 1/4 tablespoon on him, and just monitor and do that kind of stuff. And eventually I think it'd be cool to offer that at a Hotmomz retreat and have like Renee come down to do the IV bags if someone needs it, and have Pedialyte there and stuff like that. But yeah, for me personally, I did not like the mass, all the people and the nastiness. I want to be able to take a shower and just really feel good. And I don't want to stay up all night. I love to do it during the day. I would love to do it in a place like on the beach, rent an Airbnb, and maybe drink it in the morning and go out and just meditate and be on the ocean on a yoga mat in the shade. Like, to me, that would be fucking an ideal place for the mother to work on you. Sarah said 100% luxury and safe journey. Mosquitoes are not a vibe. They're not. And like those people that are, sit there and you look down at their feet and they look like Aborigines and they're white people because they haven't bathed in 4 days. Like, I'm sorry, but I just, I don't believe that I need to be okay with that. And if you told me, Casey, you need to be okay with this, could I do it? Absolutely. But can we please do it during the day so I can sleep at night? Can I do that and maybe have a private cabin? Okay. So, that's kind of my rookie first experience of not knowing how to properly plan. And then hindsight 2020, I could have set up a tent. We could have had a private tent, but I just was unprepared. I was just unprepared, but that's my first experience at the place. But now with the medicine, there are private shamans that travel around. You just got to find them that do that. That would be a great experience. Like, a guy that I know, he had a private shaman and they went out to the desert and just him and the shaman in the desert did it. So that would be cool, just one time. But for me, doing that and then the next morning and the next night and not sleeping and not eating, to me, that's a lot of stress on the physical body. And maybe that's what they think that you need, or I don't know, but that's just my experience. So, Sarah said, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Skip will have to share his own, but I'll just tell you, sum it up. He was, Skip was a porn guy. Of course, I like porn too. There's other on porn, but he was addicted to his phone, addicted to nicotine, whereas me, I could just come off Adderall. I knew how to deal with my demons, right? He did not. A lot of men don't. And I talked to the guy, Rory, the drug addict and all that stuff. And I'd say, what's your, and it reminded me of Sarah's shirt. That's a fucking lifestyle. I said, what's your daily practice, Rory? He goes, oh, nothing. I may do Kundalini yoga once in a while. And I'm like, pff. And so, and he did tell me when I told him what I felt with the child abuse, he goes, yeah. And he looked, never thought about that. But yeah, I did go through some stuff when I was little, some sex abuse. And I'm like, yeah, see, he's done 8 journeys and he didn't even put 2 and 2 together. And so these men, they're not taught to feel. And so they fight it and all this stuff. And a lot of people get addicted to the ayahuasca because they don't know how to integrate this into their life. They don't know how to do the daily practice. and do the things that I teach y'all how to do, where you acknowledge your feelings and how to feel your feelings and what to do when you feel your feelings and how to shift and how to do all this stuff. I think that knowing what we know now, you can truly allow that extra healing to take place. But yeah, that's kind of my experience. But Skip, man, he was so out of it. He said he had a lot of the murders and the deaths pop up, a lot of his stuff pop up, his mom and dad, things he thought he processed. It's, I always know. He's like, yeah, I'm doing that. I'm like, yeah, okay. But, for men, it's very important because it puts them in tune with that feminine love energy that they're just so not accustomed to. A lot of women are that way. Some women are that way. I was that way. So, but I hope that helps. There was a website I found, a really good shit. And I'm going to talk to Damasi. She knows a private shaman that travels and she's done it with him. And you can also go to the church, the Soul Quest. If you want a more private experience, you can do that. There's a doctor there. She's actually a doctor. I don't know if it's a PhD, but I thought it was an MD because they said she was on the medical team. Great medical team too. But you can go and just pay extra and do it with like her and somebody else. So you can do that at this Soul Quest place. So you don't have to go to the Amazon and all this shit or Peru. But yeah, I'm going to find this because I think that it's a wonderful tool for the healing, toolbox. Okay. It's just a great tool. It's not the thing that's going to set you on the right path. It's definitely a way better step than I think any self-help book could do. But I told the guy that didn't know anything, I said, start increasing your emotional intelligence and doing what we do here. I just gave him some books. But yeah, she goes, thanks for sharing your journey. You had mega healing. Your energy is sparkling. Oh, cool. Sparkling energy. I love it. Yeah, it's actually hard to get back to everything that needs to get back to. But, heightened senses. So for those of you that are psychic, goddamn. So Sarah, you'll get this. I could feel, like normally I could tell, like, okay, somebody's sad here. It was on a different fucking level. Your senses are so fucking heightened where I did put an energetic bubble everywhere I went. Like, whereas before you'll just get so lost in your day-to-day activities and like go. I was extra mindful to go resetting my energy, putting this up. And then anything that came in, I was just like, oh, hell no. And even I got around these girls at this vegan restaurant. They had like little attitudes and I could just feel it, see it. And I was so okay with it. I just I let them be angry, and I just like did my thing and I just let them be angry. Whereas used to, I would it would wear on me and I would feel like some responsibility for it, where this was just more, just heightened senses, more clarity and more connection. Tons of gratitude, which always just feels like intoxicatingly amazing. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, awesome. I'll see you soon. I've got to go get my lips tattooed, which I'm not looking forward to. So I don't know how fucked up I'm going to be today. So there's that. Love the shit out of you. Talk to you soon.